Gary,
What's up?
what's up, brother man? How you
How
doing?
are you, man?
Hi, man. It's
I
another
was
good day in the city.
I was sitting up here posting the flyer on my Facebook real quick, telling everybody that we were on right now.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, man. I'm just
How are
glad to
you?
have you on the show today. It's been a while since I've actually seen you.
Man, I know. I feel like it's been like maybe 3 years at this point.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
want to say, mistake me if I'm wrong. I think it was the Gentleman's Ball the last time I saw you.
that's exactly where it
I
was.
think,
Shout out to Juan and G.
yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I'm
What
excited
have
to
you
be on
been
this.
what have
I
you
was,
been doing in the last few years though?
huh?
What have you been doing in the last few years?
Man, working, staying busy, working on both of my careers, man. So I'm a project manager outside of like acting.
Yes.
So I've been growing like in that direction, in addition to like acting and working on my own projects.
Mm.
I've done like a few things here and there, like I did Little last year, where with Issa Rae, and so I've been doing things like every now and again, but I've been more so trying to focus on like just creating my own content and my own series and directing and writing and getting my hands in that lane, because that's what I feel is like the next step for me. So
I love that. How do you know that feeling? Because I know it's a lot safer to go on someone else's journey. But
mhm.
how do you know that it's time for you?
It's like a fire. It's like a fire inside of me. Like, it could be the thought of an idea, or I could feel inspired. I could be on one of those big sets and think like, man, I could do this, on my own. It's like a fire, you know what I mean? And it's something that doesn't go away, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because it's you'll recognize it and then it'll keep happening and happening. You're like, oh man, I gotta do it. And it's just that whole I gotta do it, feeling that burn, you feel super passionate about it, and that's how man. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's how you know.
I love it. I love it. Well, you've been doing so many things. I mean, you really have. And I think even from just 3 years ago, you've grown a lot.
Yeah, man.
What do you feel like you've learned over the last 3 years?
Oh man, I've learned a lot just about people, building relationships,
Mm.
um, taking advantage of like different opportunities in terms of like building relationships and learning and like focusing on being that expert, like me wanting to be an actor, you know what I mean? So I study it, you know what I mean? So like focusing on different people to study, like different people who inspire me, like looking at the lanes and paths of people that I would potentially want to go down, and seeing like what's their story, what did they do, you know what I mean? And because we all have our own stories and things like that, and how we get into like and navigate business and just different things. But I feel like the big takeaway over the past couple of years was just learning, you know what I mean? And also playing the backfield, like,
Yeah.
a lot of people expect like, oh, I want to be an actor and I want to do these things that is going to happen immediately. So you have to know, like when I was on those sets, looking at the main actors doing things that I wanted to do, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, I want to do this. I can do this. But, you have to understand that everything takes time,
Mm.
and patience. And then, and obviously learning, you have to study, man. That's the big thing, you know?
Man, that's powerful. Do you
Yeah.
feel like you were that person before? Or if not, what helped you get there?
Um, if I was that person of just like teaching myself to be
Grinding,
patient,
staying focused. Yeah.
yeah, I had to get there, man. I think a lot of prayer. I'm super spiritual, so I'm always kind of like praying to be like led on the right path, and before I make any decisions, I always consult with God. You know what I mean? So, that's me outside of. A lot of people probably wouldn't know that, but I'm super, super spiritual. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've worked up to build. Because I haven't
Mhm.
always had like the most confidence, or just the tools you need to navigate it. You know what I mean? Because entertainment is like super hard.
Yeah.
And on top of entertaining, you have to it's so much more to come with that. You know what I mean? Like it's constantly auditioning, so people are constantly judging you. You know, you put a project out, then you have to hear the critics, and you have to hear the
Right.
it's a mental cycle that you have to keep going. So I feel like for me, a lot of just prayer and knowing what I want and figuring out through growth, like knowing the things that make me happy. You know, where do I see myself? Where do I envision myself at? You know what I mean? So it's definitely something I had to get to. It wasn't something that just came and I was just like, I'm here. You know what I mean? It was a process, because many a times I wanted to give up. You know what I mean? Like most people, you know, something doesn't happen fast enough, or you know, whatever the case may be, and you know, you're like, this is it. Is this really for me? You know, or you know, if you don't get that break you want, you're constantly questioning yourself. So it was just a buildup of being confident, knowing what I want, making sure that was really what I wanted. You know what I mean? And going after it. So, and that's what it took. And family, like my support from my mom and sister have been like amazing, you know, because when I put out a project and nobody watches it, for an example, you know, I'll have my mom and sister like, you know, it was good, you know what I mean? So having like a little support system helped too in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those different factors.
Man, that's deep. I know when I put out my first book, I had a little bit of support in Charlotte, but I really wasn't known anywhere else. And so I get exactly what you're saying when you have to build something and your
Yeah.
family is the main supporter of your dream, and they're like, that was good, baby. You're doing all right.
Right, and you just be looking at them like, you know what I
You
mean?
got to
Because
say that.
people, but it helps, man. It really does. Like just having that one or two person or people like, you know, like your stuff or tell you like keep going and don't give up, because it's easy. It's super easy to give up. Way more than
Yeah.
it is to get started. You know what I mean? So, you know.
I love that. Well, I want to really make sure, because I know your story is amazing, and I want to make sure somebody gets something out of not just reading your bio, because we can do that anyway, but really getting to the heart, because that's what this is, of your life and how that has changed you. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about how you grew up and what you learned from your childhood.
Man, what did I learn? You know what's so funny is at this age I'm at now, I won't mention it, but at this age, I'm just starting to really like look back at my childhood on things I've learned, like because I feel I'm mature enough now to be able to look back and say, oh, that was that and that was that, you know, as opposed to before. But you know, I come from Detroit, 313, you know what I mean? Like I'm a Detroit guy all day. I love Detroit. Um, and you know,
Yes.
I grew up single mother, like the story you hear, like just single mother, me and my mom and my sister. My dad wasn't quite around like in the latter years of my life, you know, after the age 12, 13, you know, I had never seen him again. um, so there was like a lot of challenges and struggles that came with that. You know, we didn't have the most money, you know what I mean? So that those were those challenges and struggles. But I feel like, you know, what I've learned from my childhood is it really taught me how to navigate and be an adult, you know, like to where if I'm struggling now or facing a challenge now, I'm
Yeah.
able to kind of like face it head on, you know, because of experiences I went through, you know, as a child, you know what I mean? So now I'm starting to learn like, you know, because for the longest of times, I feel like, you know, not having a father growing up, you know, years ago, I would always ask myself, well, why me? Why me? What did I do? You know, was I not the perfect son? Did I not have, you know, my voice not deep enough? Did I, you know, you thinking all these different things. And now, like I as an adult, it did travel with me as an adult. And then I started to realize that. And now I'm just kind of like taking different steps and different things that I can do. Like, you know, I am worthy enough. You know, he left because he may have been going something
Yes.
going on in his world and that I don't even know about, that maybe my mom don't know about, that, you know, it wasn't me. And, you know, so I've learned to just to take these different difficulties and challenges that's happened in my life, particularly my childhood, and just use them, man. And um, that's really what I try to do, like in terms of like inspiring people. I try to share my own story. If it's my father or if it's sexuality or whatever it is, if I could share my story and like impact people, that's my goal. So I've taken those lessons as a child and really like applied them to now and really like helped other people just through my own stories.
That's really big, man. I mean, your story really is your power.
Hmm.
I mean, it really is your power. Like the lessons that you learn from your experiences is how you make better choices next time to have a more successful, prosperous life later on.
Right.
So
Right.
that's real. I'm glad that you're starting to look back because that's really where your strength is going to come from.
Yeah, man, I had to because it was a point in my life. The older I would get, like I started losing friends, and I was wondering, like, okay, what am I doing? Why can't I keep relationships or friendships? Like, what am I doing? I had to really like look at myself. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
and look at those situations again as a child, like the issues of abandonment, for an example. And even love. I know you're a love expert, but like even love, like wondering why I rarely get into relationships. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm that type of guy who, when I feel like someone started to like me or love me, I'm like because I'm like because
Wow.
I be honest in saying, like, I'm scared to be loved by anybody outside of like my mom and sister, or anybody that I know like that loves me genuinely. Like if some
Mm.
random person that's like, I like you, and I'm like, what's the catch? Like, I'm always kind of skeptical when it comes to that. But I learned that stems from my childhood. So
Mm.
again, like I'm facing these issues now, so that I can make different decisions moving forward, like you said.
I think that's powerful, though. Somebody needs that right now because you're not the only one out there who's in that space.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, sincerely, there are a lot of people who are guarded and have walls and have boundaries and feel very valid
Right.
about guarding themselves. The Bible even talks about spiritual man. The Bible even talks about guarding your heart,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean cutting off the opportunity for love when it flows your way.
That's
Right?
true. And you know what? That's something I'm practice. Like, I'm really practicing it now. Like I'm seriously trying to, what I mean, make an attempt. But um, it's a struggle. Like it's a struggle trying to date. I think dating takes a lot of time. You know what I mean? And it's just as much as a full-time job. I feel like when you're committing to someone. You know what I mean? And that's where it kind of gets a little foggy for me because I am like a workaholic. You know what I mean? Like I love working. Like I love creating stuff. I love like getting off of work and dedicating like an hour to something I want to write or something I want to direct or whatever I want to do. You know what I mean? And
Right.
a lot of times I felt in relationships or having relationships that hindered that process for me. Like I didn't have that space to create, and that's what made me unhappy, and that's kind of like what made me fearful of relationships because I feel like I would compromise the things I want to accomplish in life because I have to take that time and spend it on someone.
Mm.
So it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing.
Well, it's not weird. It's uncomfortable,
Right.
right? It's uncomfortable because that's not you speaking.
Right.
That is not your source speaking. That is not your power speaking. You are
Hmm.
speaking from a place of weakness, and you're not weak,
Yeah.
right? So instead of that, instead of, oh, gee, I might find somebody and they might be really good for me, but I may mess it up because I don't have enough time to give the amount of time I think they would want from me
Right.
to the relationship. And so I'm going to end up hurting this person. And I don't want to be the one to hurt them. And I don't want another failed relationship.
Right. Right. I mean, that's exactly what it is, man. And I don't know. Just people are super strange to me nowadays. Like when it comes to like dating and or anything, like I feel like I'm very easy, carefree, go with the flow. You know, I'm very like optimistic in a lot of things. You know, like I don't really get too upset about things. I try to stay like optimistic, and I meet people that are just different from that. You know what I mean? Where in when I am trying to date, I just feel like there's never, you know, as much as that person can say, "Oh yeah, I get it," you know, I get you. I don't really feel like they do.
Well,
It's weird.
I get it. I
Or
get it. I
uncomfortable. I'm
get
gonna
it.
use the word uncomfortable.
Yes, uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And why is it uncomfortable?
A place of weakness. I know. I know.
Place of
Look, I
weakness,
don't even want to
brother.
say it.
Don't even want to, you don't want to admit that. Look, for everybody watching this, because this is big, this is important. For my brother who's on there, and everybody watching, y'all hear this conversation, because this is real. A lot of you have the same conversation in your head. Look, you are a spiritual man, so you know that you deserve the best. You can call forth the best. You can assign to your life the best things by what you speak, by what you believe, by what you decree, right? All of
Yep.
those things. You can also repel the blessings the
Yeah.
same way.
No, you're right. You're right, and that's a good point because everything that has happened in my life this far, like I've spoken to existence. Because I do believe in the power of words and stuff like that. It's just something about that love and relationship. Like I am a fearless guy. Like I would try anything, but when it comes to love, I'm like I don't know
No,
about that.
you know, it's crazy. Do you drive?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you know, that's pretty dangerous, right?
Right.
You know, you have to have not just faith in your ability to handle and operate a vehicle, but you have to have a lot of faith in the people on the road with you
True.
in order to get in a vehicle and drive it. And yet you do it without thinking.
Yeah.
Now, get that way about your love life.
See, now that's asking for a lot.
It's not. It is, but it's not. See, when you're operating from that place of power and authority and fearlessness, you're able to start accessing some things. My brother professor said, have faith. You got to start activating your faith, brother. Like, seriously. And I mean this because, look, you could be the one. There's going to be two types of drivers here in this conversation. There's going to be the one that gets in the car and is nervous, is like, oh Lord, help me, Jesus. I gotta get to my destination. I don't know if I'm gonna get there, Lord, but you gotta take the wheel, Jesus. You know, got that one, right? And then you got the other one who's like, all right, let's get in this car and let's get there. I've gotten there before. I know how to drive. And if something happens, I'll be all right. I know I'm gonna get there by faith,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's the same car, same person, two minds.
That's true. That I
So
mean
what
that's
about this? What about this? What about this? What if you started saying, you know what? I am a busy person. I have a lot going on. Yet I still want love. I still want to attract love. I still want something special in my life. I believe I deserve it. I believe it's something I'm called to. And in that, you know what? I believe that the universe will send to me someone who is complementary, that someone who understands a busy lifestyle, someone who understands what it means to sacrifice, someone who knows what it means to put hours into something after you put hours into work. I believe there's somebody who will not need as much of my time, but will understand when I need time to focus on my dream and my vision. What about that?
that sounds great. I feel like you should send me that in the blurb. I would I would say that I will, you know, because I do. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm not gonna say that I'm. So I'll make two things clear. One,
Yeah.
I'm not completely shut off from it. So like if you were to come to me and say, Gary, I know this amazing person I would be open to it. So I'm not completely shut off.
Good.
And then the other thing, like, I know it will eventually happen, but the thing is, like, I just, at this point in my life, like, I won't settle. You know, like, so if I was to start spending time with someone and it doesn't quite like work out, or wasn't what I was, or what it was, I won't make it, or I won't force it to work. You know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of times people force things. You know what I mean? And like, I don't really force it. So I know that it will eventually happen to where that person will come along and they will completely get me. They will get my schedule. Hopefully that they're in the same situation, so I could compliment them as much. So I know it's going to happen. I think it's just a matter of time. But how it's going to happen, that's the challenge. Like, because I don't necessarily put myself in positions to meet people to date. Like, I try to stay away from that at all costs. You know, like, I know if there's somewhere I'm going and there's the potential I'm going to meet people where they're going to kind of like talk to, I'm like, oh gosh, you know. So I try to avoid those things. So
How do you do that? So we met at the gentleman's ball. You know, last time we saw, not met, but last time we saw each other was at the gentleman's ball. And there is no way that you were there not knowing that you were going to have to interact with people that could potentially want a time and attention of Gary Lavard.
Yeah, so I think back then I was able to handle it better. Like, now I just don't want to. Now I'm just not for it. Like, back then, but I think it's because, you know, obviously I've had a relationship since then, and so I feel like each relationship I've had helped shape me in moving forward. And it also made it a little scary too, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what it is, because I don't want to feel like I'm going backwards. Like, I don't want to get into something with somebody else and it's the same thing as the last person, and I have a fear of that happening. So it's like, that's when I'm like, yeah, because another thing too, like, I'm happy being single. Like, I'm so happy. Like, I make myself happy, you know what I mean? So if anybody that come along with that, they're going to have to complement that. Like, it can't be a subtraction, you know what I mean? Like, it has to be like, it has to be like complimentary, you know what I mean? Because I'm so good by myself, I don't really, if someone is there, if I'm in a relationship with someone, it's because I genuinely want to be with them.
Yes.
Not for any other reason outside of that. You know what I mean? That's literally the sole reason, because I'm super fine alone. You know what I mean? Like, I go to the movies alone. I take myself. Well, I did before quarantine, but you know, I take myself
So
out on
what movie
dates.
theater are you going to?
Yeah, okay. In my living room.
Right.
But yeah, I take myself out on dates. I buy myself gifts when I congratulate myself. You know, if I did something big and I worked hard on something, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So self-happiness and self-care, that's my thing. So again, like, anybody that comes along, I would hope would complement that type of thing. You know what I mean?
So do you feel like you're attracting complimentary energy?
I do, but not in terms of dating. I feel
Well,
like I attract really good energy professionally. You know, amongst my coworkers, amongst like people I do business with, you know, people I meet randomly and sort of vibe with here in LA. Like, yeah, I think I'm attracting those type of people. But again, like, romantically, I think what it is I need that blurb that you said prior to this, and I'll bring it into the universe. That's what it is.
hello? Because I was about to ask, like, do you have the same barriers up with the type of people you just mentioned?
I don't.
So let that just sink in. Your answer to that, as easily as you were able to say that.
But that
Notice what
doesn't.
you said.
That
Notice what
doesn't.
you said. I attract amazing people that compliment me in the spaces that I don't have the same barriers in the space that I feel like I'm not winning in.
See, that's good. That's real good.
It's this is what psychology. I just want you to stay with me. When you think of a dam, right? Like a dam is used a lot of times to generate energy and things like that, but it's really already a natural flowing source of water that was already flowing. They just use the energy in that to manifest the energy in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is literally, I can see almost spiritually here, that you have a dam when it comes to relationships. And so you're trying to manipulate the free flowing energy that's supposed to be natural, organic, live, in living color. For that, you are trying to dam it and manipulate it so that you can check it, verify it, use it some way, try to make sure it's right, try to filter it, try to whatever else you got to do. But in everything else, there's no dam. It's just a free flowing stream. And you are seeing more productivity out of the free flowing stream in your life in all different areas than you are the dam. So it might be time to let go of the dam.
It might be, you know, you know, it might be. I mean, you're right. Like, I think it is. Like, eventually, at some point, honestly, I don't know what it's going to take for me to get there. Perhaps Philly, let it flow. Like, I'm trying to let it flow. I wouldn't mind if it flowed, but it has to flow. That's the thing. Like, I feel like it has to be one of those things where I meet someone and it just flows. Like, I don't know. Like, it's almost gonna have to be an instant thing for me. Like, because I just don't want to. You know, I just want to meet that person. Like, oh yeah, you know, and feel that. You know what I mean? To where I can like release that damn, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know what it's going to take because I haven't had success in that area. And so that's why I think that's what makes me afraid. Like, I've had success in the other areas where things are just flowing. You know what I mean?
You've had success. Hold on, I got to pause you here. Seems like we're in a whole love coaching session right now. You have had success. You have had success. How are you defining success? Because to me, you're still here. You've gotten some great information about what you want and what you don't want. You have learned, lived, loved. You have experienced it. Would you say when you were test driving the car when you were a kid and you didn't have a license, but you were test driving a car, would you say that was a success?
Yeah.
You didn't have a license though, and you didn't own the car.
But you still test drove the car.
But you were test driving it was enough of a success without the license or owning the vehicle.
True.
So
see, look, you're too sharp for me.
No, I'm just not gonna let you off the hook. I don't let people off the hook with these kind of conversations because you are literally thinking yourself out of love. Like, go back to that. When you were that young, you were just excited to get behind the wheel. You didn't care if you were driving in a parking lot. You were just excited to be behind the wheel because any time behind the wheel was enough because you were experiencing it. Here's all I want to say. Take time to experience love. Know what it feels like. Get so comfortable with the feeling of it that no matter what kind of car comes, no matter what form it takes, no matter what color, it feels right because you experienced it so much before.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll make an attempt at change, and I'll follow up with you on that.
Please do.
See how we do, but no, but I will do that. There's no but there.
There's no but.
Yeah.
See, Wynn said it will happen. It always does. I agree. The water's gonna flow. love is going to flow. Like it's going to. I'm not going to say this because I don't know, but it could have already flowed into your life.
You're right. You know what? I agree with that. Like I said, I am very much so like when I get to that point of that liking phase, um, it kind of
You run away.
yeah, a runner. I mean, Nike should give me a ad the way I run. But
Yes, Nike.
and
You heard that, right?
it has nothing to do. Well, I'm not going to say each case, but most cases have nothing to do with that other person. It's solely dealing with me. You know what I mean? Um, so that and I know that, like I'm aware of that. So I feel like I at least made that. You know.
I want you to hear this because you speaking right now for somebody watching and somebody who will watch this back. You are about to help somebody get free as you get free because you just had two conversations with me that don't make sense together. You said, watch your own words. When this goes live, when I put this on YouTube, I want you to listen back. You
Okay.
told me that you can't find compatible people, and yet you're telling me that it's really just you. But you know what? This is what we do in our heads. We actually have these conversations, and we don't realize how bipolar our conversations are with ourselves. You know, on one hand, you're like, so it's always their fault. Oh no, babe, it's me. And you're literally doing this all day, right?
That's right. No, that you're right.
So you got to choose the voice of the one you want to win.
Okay, that's a good way of putting it. Okay, that's a real good way. I was looking at some of the
I know you're
comments.
trying to read like I'm trying to read.
I know.
Do you suppose listen to red flags or accept them as flaws? So I guess what this person's asking, and I guess for you too, maybe, do you see red flags as red flags or as flaws as something you can get by?
I see red flags as red flags.
Yeah, I would see a red flag because a red flag is only red to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And unless that person is so different from, you know what I mean? Because like a red flag for me is like basically based on my past experiences. You know what I mean? Things I've gone through or seen before with people, and I'll see it again in someone else. That raises a red flag. But I will say that I'm not a runner at that point. You know what I mean? Like if there's something that I'm noticing, you know,
mm,
I'm conscious of it, but at the same time, I'm not like, okay, I saw that, I'm out of here. You know, I
yeah.
would at least you know, try to possibly understand or like validate my own feeling, you know what I mean? But most times red flags are red flags. You know
Red
what I
flags
mean?
are kind of red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once you know yourself a little bit, you definitely can say this is something that when I see it, I may not want to entertain this anymore. So to
Yeah.
answer that, but we did get another question about how long have you been single? You mentioned that the last time we saw each other, you no, you weren't in a relationship, but you were after that. So how long has it been since you've been out of one?
Actually, I was in a relationship during that. I was.
Oh, okay.
So I've been out of a relationship for close to 2 years now. So now I'm starting to have those feelings where I want to get back out there again. You know what I mean? Like, cause there are times where, like, you know, out here in LA, like I live alone. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
so I celebrate a lot of times, like on my own, and there are times like I do like these or have these big milestones, whether it's like my career as in entertainment or my career in project management. And I have like these different milestones, and I'm like, man, I have no one to celebrate them with. You know what I mean? I find myself by myself
mm.
celebrating myself, and that's great. But there are times I'm like, damn, it would be good if I had somebody to like call and be like, guess what I just did? You know what I mean? So I am starting to have those type of feelings again, where like, yeah, I may want to get back out there and start dating. It's just, I mean, and two, like I'm older. A lot of people don't know. Like people think I'm younger than what I actually am. So it's like I don't like I don't know. Like it's just that whole world of getting to know each other, and that, and it could be fear. I saw somebody put fear earlier. I'm like, it could be fear, but it's one of those
It's
things where
fair.
it's like, like I would
It's
love to
fair.
have someone, but at the same time, do I want to deal with the challenges of having someone?
Well, I mean, let me just say this to everybody who talks about relationship. Singleness is the one time in life you get to be selfish, right?
Yeah,
It's the one time that you can be unadulteratedly selfish. And every other phase of love, from dating all the way to divorce, you have to consider the other person. And so you have got to enjoy this time of selfishness, this singleness that allows you the freedom to do what you want when you want to in the way that you want to without having to care about anyone else's feelings. And that's important because it helps you know what you truly want and don't want, right? Like
correct.
that's it. That is why people are born single, so that you can learn yourself. It's not so that you can be
Yes.
sad that you're single, it's so that you can be secure in your singleness.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at now. Like I'm super happy like being single. Like it's so I'm not sad or anything like that. I have moments
Yeah.
of like it'd be cool to share this with someone, or I could see something that's like super cool. I'm like, man, I wish so and so was with me to see that, or you know what I mean. So I'm not sad, and I will say that in these past 2 years, I've had the most growth I've ever had in my entire life. You know what I mean? Because like when I say, I wasn't like people could reach out to me all the time, like, hey, what's up? And I just never, I just, you know what I mean?
Like, no
And they could
bueno.
very well been a great person, I just, yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things. But you're right. Being single is a time to become comfortable with yourself, because I do know people who can't be single. I know people who have to be around someone all the time. You know what I mean, or be in a relationship all the time. And
Yes.
I look at them and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, because I have to have that time alone to think. That's just who I am. You know what I mean? Like I have to have that me time. So, and then most cases when I have that me time, I am like evaluating things and myself and how can I be better and like working on me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get it.
I get it. Derek, I believe you know Derek. Derek is good people. I love Derek. He's asking what's the flaw and red flag examples, like the difference. So let me give that, because I think that's important. I think when people think of a red flag as weight that you can't pick up.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. A red flag is something that you don't have the strength to handle.
Yep.
That inside of yourself, you, with that person and that thing, there is no way around picking that up. You would need some help from friends, family, somebody else in the gym to pick that weight up. You need a lifeline, okay? So that could be anything. And see, for somebody, a flaw could be a red flag, and a red flag could be a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people can handle certain red flags that other people can't.
Yep.
And so you got to know your own strength level. So like a flaw could be the person is a bit insecure,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that insecurity is maybe annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. But to someone else, that same flaw could be a deal breaker, because you can't handle somebody who is insecure. Like, no, you gotta look. You gotta look. If you're gonna be out with me, you gotta be secure about who you are. That's two different feelings.
Yeah, and so I'm glad you like put it that way, because that makes so much sense. You know what I mean? And red flag versus flaw, vice versa. That makes so much. It's really like dependent upon the person. But that makes so much sense. So that was like Derek said, good. That was good. That was really good. Really, it is, because I never thought about the two, even putting them in the same sentence. I'm like, hey, flaw versus red flag. I never even thought about the two together. So that's
Yeah.
good.
No, I appreciate Derek asking that question, because it is true. Like when Beyonce talks about flaws and all, that's, I mean, we got it. We also have things that we feel are flaws or someone else may see. But
Right.
that, you know, some people have a mole and that mole to them is a flaw. Somebody else sees it and it's not an issue at all.
Right.
And then somebody else sees it and they're like, mole, you know,
Yeah.
think about the
Yeah.
Austin Powers movie, mole, mole, mole,
Man, you brought that back.
mole, mole, mole. Yes. Like a whole different vibe right there. And
Yeah.
so you got to know what it is to you. And I'm telling you, this is why knowing yourself is so important because you will end up letting go of somebody who really you only had a flaw with,
Yeah.
but your friend's trying to tell you that it's a red flag. And so you, because you went and got advice from a friend or a family member, and they don't like they think it's a red flag, but to you it's just a flaw. And so
Yeah.
now you are taking their sentiment about it and applying it to who you are, which doesn't work.
Very true, man. Very true. Yeah, I try to stay away from that. Like so my relationships I typically try to keep to myself. I never really, you know, I never really babbled about my relationships with like my friends and stuff like that because I just feel like that's something that you two share, like, you know, whoever I'm in a relationship with, like we're gonna work this out. But there have
Right.
been times where like things were challenging or difficult, so I may you know ask someone, but I'm also careful of who I ask. You know what I mean? Because that could be a big thing too. Because
Mm.
you know, not everyone could have your best interests. Like, you know, it could be you could ask someone who can completely dislike the person that you're in a relationship with, so they basing their response on how they feel towards them, you know, so it could be a bad thing. So I think that's just as important. Like if, you know, if I'm getting in a relationship from like outside sources, I'm also
Mm.
I'm considering the source in that matter.
I agree. You have
So
to. You have to, and I'm telling you, that thing inside of you that feels the good and the bad about the people that you're not trying to get in a relationship with, like you
mhm.
mentioned, business associates and friends, and even just random people that you encounter. That same spirit that you feel when you just trust it, you know it's right, you know it's real, you know you can feel the vibe. You got to trust that the same way, and you got to believe. Like when your heart says trust, you got to be like, all right, let's go. You know, we
That's
came back full circle to that
yeah.
because that's the defining thought is like if you don't get to a point in yourself that you're like I'm willing to just let it flow and be free, then you will always overthink, overanalyze, and outthink your love journey.
That's a word. I don't even have a reply to that. That was that's a word for real.
We just talking here, brother. We just
Yeah.
no, but
So my
I
friend
really I believe that for you. You know, it was fate truly that you came on today. I was in such a headspace about this, and now we're talking about it. But I really just I mean, it's a good. This is a good moment. This might be something, might be in the air
no, I'm
while
totally
you're having this conversation right now.
yeah, man. Like I'm I'm excited. Like when you know I wasn't sure how, you know, or how much we would talk about love, you know what I mean? But I knew prior to this, like I was, you know, willing to talk about it. You know, I think that's one of the things about me. Like I'm at least willing to talk about it and like and here because through conversation you just pick up different things, you know what I mean? And you know, maybe I will from this, you know, start saying like just different positive affirmations when it comes to love and things like that. You know, maybe this was the interview that did it all. Like you know, maybe I will go off and find love. Like if y'all want to send y'all applications, make sure you
There
send me
you
a
go.
headshot. No, but you know, maybe it was because you're right. You know, everything you said, you know, even in terms of just the way of thinking, because my way of thinking about, you know, success in my career is like if I applied that into love, I may have had, or I may have been found it, you know, by now. You know what I mean? Like so,
Mm,
you know, it's all about what you put out there in the universe. So
mm.
I'm willing, you know, for you, I'm willing
I'm
to
excited for you. I really am. I'm excited for you. I
Yeah.
think, thank you, Derek. He says, "Smart caller." I feel like you are such in an amazing place uh, especially when you feel clear about who you are. And I feel like you have this clarity about who you are that is just radiating. You have a calmness about you that is very evident. And
Yeah.
so, it says, now I'm gonna tell you what the word says. The word says he places you beside still waters. He puts people beside still waters. When something gets calm and easy, because you were talking about all the work and relationship being complicated, God has a way of placing people right near still waters. So when you get real still and you get real confident and comfortable with yourself, God has a way of just putting people just right there.
I've thought about that often. I've just from over the years, I've wondered like, I wonder who I've talked to or potentially would have gotten into a relationship with. I wonder who were actually the right ones. You know what I mean? That I didn't give a chance to, I would say. You know what I mean? I wondered that did I screw up an opportunity with someone? So I do wonder sometimes, just thinking back on like just past just got, or like people I potentially would want to date. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I wonder did I skip over the right one at some point? But I'm also a firm believer in timing and knowing that it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and when it do happen, I will feel it. I put it like this. This is my this is my thing in terms of relationships.
Go for it.
It's like buying a house. So like when I first bought a house, when I looked at hundreds of houses. When I walked into the house I bought, it was a feeling. Like I was like, oh my God, this is it. You know what I mean? I just knew it. So like that's what I want to happen in my relationship. Like when
How many houses had you looked at before that?
oh, plenty. Before I
Okay,
found oh gosh, I just realized what I said. Don't wait,
woo,
wait.
come on.
You trapped me. You
I
trapped me.
did. You trapped yourself. That was a setup that you gave
Nah.
me. You know what? Because your source energy, your being, your spirit man knows what you want. It knows what you need.
Yeah.
And you are out thinking your spirit. See, you knew that in order to find the best house, you had to try some houses out first. You had to walk through them, you had to experience them, you had to check out every room, you had to go there in person and see if
Yeah.
I like this, how does it feel? And you got so used to the feeling that you knew what it felt, what the good felt. You knew what good. See, it's not about a bad person and a good person. It's about a great feeling and an even better feeling. And you went in the house, you were like, this isn't bad, this isn't bad. All right. But then you went into one, you had enough of that, this isn't bad, that
Yeah.
you knew immediately, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing in relationships.
So you basically saying I gotta kiss a few more frogs.
You got to kiss the frogs. You gotta look before you kiss the frog. You gotta go back in your past and do some homework about one of the questions was what type of people have you dated and why. Not just what were the bad things or why it failed, but what were the good things that you enjoyed. You got to pull out both of those because there were still good in some of that.
Yeah.
And so you got to find the good and the challenges in that. Really make it clear. Now find out what you want next in where you're going. And put all that together, and that will give you that feel. And start feeling it. Start feeling it now. What does that
Yeah.
feel like? What does it feel like? Maybe it's, I love when I talk to my partner about things that are deep and we have profound conversations. I love the feeling of going somewhere with the person that I love and it just seems easy, that we have a good time and we don't argue. I love it when we are able to watch a movie and they fall asleep and I don't get mad. I love, and you gotta, what does it feel like? Start doing that feeling exercise, not thinking, feeling
Okay.
exercises. Because what did you say about the house that you bought? You felt it.
Yep. And
Because
and
that's the
and
spirit.
and with everything in life, it's a feeling for me. You know what I mean? Like everything that all my decisions are feelings, and it's I mean, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. Like I will say, like I've sucked at it. You know what I mean? Just, you know. So we'll
It's
see.
so easy.
We'll see
It's so easy
where
you
it goes.
outthink it. It's so easy you outthink it.
Yeah. And I'm naturally an overthinker, you know what I mean? Like just in everything. Like something good can happen. I'd be like, well, why did that happen? I'm that type. Like I'm always thinking, and like sometimes I have to tell my own self to shut up. Like I have to like turn off my mind, because I can outthink myself into or out of something like so easily, you know what I mean? And so um I you know I I feel a little optimistic now. You know what I mean?
Good.
I feel like I'll definitely make more of an effort. Um, but again, it just has to feel right. That's all. It just has to feel right. Because I feel like a lot of times people, I feel like people think that if you go out on like maybe in a date with someone, that
Yes.
you're supposed to just make it, like, you know what I mean? Like like I mentioned earlier, there are times you go out on a date with people and you could realize like, oh, they'll just be a good friend, or they'll just be this or this, or we won't have anything after this. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times people go out on dates, or I go out on dates with people, and it's the expectancy of me that this is it. And I feel like dating is like viewing the houses. You know what I mean? They are. Sometimes they don't work out, and I hate when people hold grudges with people if they just wasn't compatible. Because I feel like in the past, like I've had.
That's got nothing to do with you.
You're right, but the
That's
thing
got
is, like,
nothing. That had like that thought right there. That's the irrelevant thought, because the house does not feel bad. Like the house is so secure that you chose not to choose
yeah,
in what it is, that it knows that eventually somebody's going to buy this house. Like you look, them feeling the way they feel about you when you would not say yes to them only reveals more of why they aren't the fit.
yeah, yeah. But I feel like like if you okay, example. I go out on a date with someone. Okay, it doesn't work out. I don't really want to talk to them anymore, whatever the case may be. And then you see that person again, and then there's for me, I'm always fine. Like I'll wave, I'll say a simple hello, and keep moving, because that's just me. Like I try to keep good energy like all the time. So I'll see that person like, hey, what's up? Keep moving, like it's nothing. But then they'll see me and they'll be like, this one, they just feel in a certain type of way, like,
That's
and I
fine.
don't, I
That's fine.
and that have an that has an effect
You
on
know
me.
what? No, it shouldn't. Here's actually what you should feel. I'm gonna tell you what you should feel this time, okay? Because you do. Inside you do, but you're overthinking it. In your spirit, this is what you should be thinking. I am so glad I had that experience with them, because I gained something from that. And so did they. And the reaction they just had one day, it may not be today, but one day, they will look back on that reaction and realize how insecure they really were, how off focus, how out of alignment with their true source and identity that they are. That moment will be a reminder to them that they need to get back into alignment. And so I'm glad that they saw me out and that they had that reaction, because what it's going to do is going to make them one day, it may not be today, but one day it will make them step into the best version of themselves.
Yeah, I've been needing you this whole time in my life.
Gary, we boys, so it's all good.
Look,
Look, I'm here.
I think I got your number right. I'm on.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. So
forever. Yeah, you know, we
I'm
don't
about
change
to.
numbers.
Huh?
We're not hiding from anybody. We don't change numbers.
Okay, yeah. I definitely gotta, because you put a lot of things into like perspective, and I'm saying that honestly, like sincerely, like I'm definitely thinking about the way I've been thinking and how I should be thinking in terms of this moving forward. And then you know, I do feel like once I make those changes, it would happen. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it would. So yeah, it's. But again, it's just they're really gonna have to just compliment a busy lifestyle, because I feel like too, people want everything. Like, people, you know, like it's a lot. Like, life is a lot in general. You know what I mean? Like, just in terms of
Ooh,
like work and
there
goals
you
and
go.
so
There
many
you
different
go.
things.
There you go.
Yeah,
You're slipping back. You're slipping back, brother. You're slipping back. You know, I got to pull my people back. You're slipping back. You're going
I'm
back.
moving forward. I'm moving forward.
No,
I'm moving
no, no,
forward.
no.
I'm
Don't
moving
let it
forward.
happen, brother.
I'm gonna just stop that thought in its
You are
tracks.
going to think, you are going to, look, I promise me this. You are going to think that at the appropriate time it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen because I'm thinking the thought. It's in my energy realm. It's in this circle of energy that I have, and I'm thinking it. I'm feeling it. It's feeling good, and when it comes, I will know. And so my focus isn't on what they look like or how tall or how much they have or whatever. My focus now is on who I am and how comfortable I feel with myself, and how comfortable I feel when they arrive, because I know when they come that I need to be in alignment. That's it.
Yeah. So you're gonna send me these things, right?
I got you, bro.
I'm
This has
serious.
been great. This has been great. I'm glad. Like, I didn't know what we were talking about, because it's easy to talk about all the Hollywood stuff and all that, but like these kind of talks that are life changing. This is the point of the show. So I'm just
Yeah.
glad that you got something from it, and I look forward to talking with you offline about some more things here, brother.
No, I really enjoyed it. To be honest, like, I didn't know, we were had the list of stuff, but I honestly, I enjoy this type of conversation a little bit more, because I mean, all the other stuff you could see like on social media. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
um, but yeah, this was definitely good. Definitely in my mind, I'm wanting to change. So that's the first start. Like, I feel like, definitely send me like those different, just like, affirmations you have, and like, I'll start, because I do meditate. Like,
Yes.
I meditate each day, like
Well,
every
I'll
day.
send you over a copy of my book, the affirmations book. It's 31 Days of Affirmations. It's called Unlivable Reflections. It's on my site, but I'll send you a PDF copy so that you have access to ebook, so you have access to that.
Oh,
Since you
dope.
were a guest today. But yeah, I'll send that over. So don't worry, brother. I got your back, all right?
All right,
We
man.
don't
Well, I
talk offline.
appreciate
I got you.
you. I appreciate you, for real, for real.
Absolutely, brother. Much love. And look, enjoy your night. And we'll talk again very, very soon. I'll hit you up, okay?
All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your day
You too,
or
bro.
night.
Love
Peace.
you.
Love
Peace.
you too, man.